Thank you for checking out another edition of Dead End Sports 365. I'm your boy, the OG 12 Kyle, back in the building for another episode. Before I get started, I want to remind you to check out and like and subscribe to this video and this channel, youtube.com/ Dead End Sports. Also, make sure that you subscribe and check out the fellas each and every Tuesday and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. So, what I want to talk about today is Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley recently made some comments about today's NBA players. In fact, here's the quote. He said, quote, "These guys are wussies," close quote. And what he was talking about was he was speaking on the fact that he thinks that today's players in today's NBA have a problem with being criticized, and they take everything personal. And Barkley went on to talk about the fact that when he was coming up, players were also criticized, but they didn't take it as personal. And I think Charles is right and he's wrong in this case as well. As someone who has watched basketball since 1980, I will agree that Charles is right. First thing you have to keep in mind is that the game is different. The game is played differently. Threes, being tossed up at record pace. Charles didn't play in that NBA. So the game is played outside in as opposed to inside out when he was playing. So, the players are different and they're handled differently. And I mean, you have a lot of players who come through the AAU circuit. And let's be honest, a lot of players of this generation have been coddled and babied. And, when they get to this level, they really can't handle someone telling them no or being critical of their game. But on the flip side, I think you have people like Charles who, from time to time, will make things personal. Or maybe not Charles, but you'll have media types like Stephen A. Smith or Skip Clueless who will make things personal. I have no problem with you criticizing someone for their game or something that they didn't do in the game. What I do have a problem with is when guys make it personal and they're talking about, someone's livelihood or what they do or what they can't do or whatever like that. It should strictly be about what's on the court. And I think that's one thing that Charles tends to forget, even when he was younger. And I do remember when Charles Barkley came into the league. Let me let you guys in on a little secret. When Charles Barkley came into the league, the OGs of the league at that time, they didn't like Charles. They didn't like Jordan. They didn't like Bird. They didn't like Magic, and so forth and so on down the line. I think it's kind of a tradition, if you will. But when LeBron came into the league, the OGs who were already in the league, they didn't like LeBron. They didn't like Kobe. Nobody gets liked when they come into the league and they have this I mean, now things are different because you have a platform via social media. You have a lot more money and a lot more eyes on you. And, some players can't handle that and handle the criticism. They take it personal. I have no problem with saying that a guy stunk in a particular game or he didn't make a certain pass. But when you make it about personal things and you talk about what somebody's doing off the court, now if they're not doing anything to help their game, that's one thing. But when you're talking about guys going to clubs and hanging out, guys are going to clubs and hanging out. I mean, Jordan gambled and was hanging out and he had all kind of women. I mean, all of that stuff, everybody's done it. I think the thing is now with social media, it's more eyes on you. And I think that's one of the things that people like Charles tend to forget. As someone who's seen both sides of it, I think you got to cut these guys some slack. But on the flip side of it, today's athlete, they can't take everything personal. If you missed the game winning shot, you missed the game winning shot. It's nothing personal. It is what it is. Those are the facts. Let's deal with the facts and stick to the reality and leave the personal stuff out of it. But again, someone like Charles, particularly someone who sits in the seat that he's in, I think he probably could do himself a little bit better if he made concessions to get closer to some of the players. Charles doesn't appear to be someone who wants to get closer or mentor these type of players. And, for what it's worth, I don't know that anybody's reached out to him. But, to call guys wussies and call them soft, I mean, yeah, the game is different and it's way softer than the NBA that Barkley played in. But the thing I would say to Charles, and I think I would say to other media pundits, is that the game is changed. Maybe you should change your thoughts too as well. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for checking out this edition of Dead End Sports. Be sure to check out my podcast. The podcast is called the 12 Kyle Podcast. It's on all major streaming platforms. And be sure to check out my YouTube channel as well. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys next time. 5 Gs.